The role of the boundary spanner is frequently highlighted as being important in development. They bring stakeholders together, cultivate trusting relationships, facilitate building shared visions, and foster collaboration. We asked leaders in development to discuss this and share successful examples of boundary spanning leadership.
Boundary spanners play arguably the most critical role in international development now. We've moved from a world where, for example, bilateral and multilateral aid flows have been the dominant way in which developing countries have received assistance over a long period of time, to a world where aid is a decreasingly significant component of international development. We know that the private sector, foreign direct investment, the role of remittances, the role of international trade policy are central to poverty alleviation and international development. So what that means is we're moving to a world where no single organisation or sector can achieve sustainable development outcomes on their own. So what that means is we need to be working in ways that bring together and align sectors, government, business, civil society and others working together around joint and shared initiatives. From a BHP Billiton perspective, we have a couple of very interesting mechanisms we use. The first of those is what's called the Forum on Corporate Responsibility. And this is a group of global civil society leaders who meet with the BHP Billiton board and management team, usually twice a year, to debate and discuss critical sustainable development issues affecting the world and for which are relevant to the company. Those issues can include Indigenous peoples' rights, climate change, human rights, biodiversity protection, and such like. And that is a multi-stakeholder forum at the highest levels, which is, through constructive engagement, contributing to enhancing both the understanding and the work of BHP Billiton and also the work of civil society organisations. The other example we have at BHP Billiton is the BHP Billiton Foundation, which is a newly established charitable entity. And it has developed in 3 what it calls global signature programs, where it's seeking to contribute to a number of the key sustainable development goals that are relevant to the global resources industry. And the mechanism by which the foundation is working is it is deliberately working across sectors in designing and executing multi-stakeholder projects that can be implemented across different jurisdictions. So designing projects in such a way as that civil society organisations, governments, multilateral institutions and the private sector are all co-collaborating, whether it's to do with enhancing environmental resilience, whether it's to do with reducing corruption and bribery, but working across sectors and across jurisdictions at scale to contribute to these sustainable development challenges.
So there's this question about whether leaders are good at spanning boundaries, whether they can bridge gaps, talk to different constituencies at once. And I think that's a kind of fundamental challenge for anyone, not just leaders, trying to work in development. There's a kind of underlying cognitive dissonance in a lot of what we do. For example, when I'm writing, I'm thinking a lot about the issue I want to write about, and at the same time I have to put myself in the shoes of someone who's reading this, who may not be that interested, who may not know much about it. So you have to constantly go to and fro between I am the expert and this person who's the reader, and respect both. When you're doing the same thing when you're working with communities in different countries, what a lot of research shows is the crucial role of people who can actually understand both realities and build a bridge between them. So the classic social movement sort of leader from India who lives with communities in India, who understands, has a good understanding of their lives and what the problems they face and their own abilities to sort things out, but can also be quite happy going to speak at the World Bank or at academic meetings in London, and not put one kind of knowledge above the other. It's having that ability to span those kind of different kinds of knowledge and different kinds of experience and respect both is a really important part of leadership. My big boss, Winnie Byanyima, is very good at this. She's a Ugandan woman who remains deeply embedded in her background in Ugandan culture in the position of women in East Africa, but is completely at home at Davos and at the World Economic Forum, and is the most extraordinary bridger of these great gaps. So I think she's a bit of a role model for a lot of us.
So as a boundary spanner, and what you have defined that as someone who is able to cultivate trusting relationships, build shared visions, and interpret what is being sent for others. The best example I can give you is a girls' education program that we were doing in Pakistan, and it was funded directly by UNICEF. And the complexity was particularly difficult because it was in very rural, remote communities who were actually against girls' education. So a very conservative society, which is quite normal if you go in many developing countries, South Asia and East Asia. And it was difficult for us to help them understand the importance of it. And that we had a target set up to at least get 2 or 3 schools started within a 3-year period. And the initial communication with the community was through local partners, people who had been on the ground for multiple years. But I think as a boundary spanner, the best thing that what we were able to start was to become local folks ourselves, to start living in the community and helping those community workers get that message across. So we ourselves were learning in the process that, okay, what is the community's greatest fears and barriers against girls' education? And the great learning that I had was, coming from an urban background, I had no idea how these conservative communities work, which is quite true for a lot of development professionals. But when I went there and I started living in that community for a few weeks, I realized that their concerns relate more to the threats that girls face in society. It's not that they don't want their girls to be educated and be professionals and to earn a living. It's that they fear that the risks out there in society are particularly towards vulnerable girls, especially if they're unmarried and if they don't have a male protector. So that was our entry point. That's what we understood, that when we go in and we start working with these community leaders, we need to talk about not just education, we need to talk about the risk in society and how those could be addressed without harming the education of girls, or without us making a school there which might have a male teacher, but in their presence. So like you said, a boundary spanner, our goal was to broaden our horizon and to broaden the scale of the project itself, not just to remain tunneled in an education program or a school building program, but to go into a broader societal understanding of the challenges to girls' education.